What are the things that you put in the category that you think, basically, as far as we can tell, we don't really know how to move forward on understanding?
Let's take problems that have been raised for thousands of years, where we're in exactly the same spot as we were thousands of years ago. So every one of us is convinced with good reason that we can make choices. Like I can choose to pick this up and throw it out the window, or I can choose not to. We all know we can do that. It doesn't fall within the range of the sciences as we understand them, which are based on principles of determinacy and randomness. That much was understood in the 17th century, that you can have determinacy and you can have randomness. Is there anything else? Well, my ability, what's called freedom of the will, my ability to choose and decide, yes, that falls with it. It appears to fall without it. Now, there's a huge amount of literature arguing that this is an illusion.
Right.
We don't really have this.
Yeah.
But there's something very odd about that literature, as in fact was pointed out by William James once. Everyone who presents that argument believes that they are giving reasons to other people to convince them that they don't have freedom of will. But that means they're presupposing freedom of will. And in fact, we all accept it. Actually, I think Descartes had what today, up till today, stands as maybe the best statement about this. He says it's absurd to abandon what we know to be true just because there's reason to believe that we will never understand it. His reason to believe we don't have to accept, that is, it's divine, it's in the area of the divine. But we can reinterpret that as saying it might be beyond the range of our cognitive capacities. You can't prove it. Maybe somebody will invent something beyond randomness and determinacy that'll accommodate freedom of the will. But as I say, for a couple of thousand years, we've been waiting with zero progress.
So there are areas of human thought that you think we've just basically treading water or stuck in place or finding different ways of saying the same things.
There are actually classical examples. One classical example, in fact, is what I mentioned, Newton and Hume. If you look at modern science, from Galileo through Newton and beyond, it was based on a conception of the natural world, the conception that the natural world is a machine, gears, levers, things pushing each other, things very much like the highly complex and intricate artifacts that were all over Europe at the time. So the world should be just a more complex one of those. It's called the mechanical philosophy. When Newton came, he was a firm believer in it, Newton, when he discovered that it simply doesn't work. That if you look at attraction and repulsion, they take place without contact. And he regarded that as such an absurdity, his word, that no one with any scientific intelligence could ever accept it. And the great scientists of his day agreed. Leibniz, Christian Huygens, others said, yes, of course, this is total absurdity. You're just bringing in occult forces. Well, what happened to that idea? Notice that Newton's theories were perfectly intelligible. It was the world that they were describing that wasn't. It did not. The criterion of intelligibility was you can construct a mechanical model for it. David Hume argued that Newton, in his History of England, he writes that Newton's maybe the greatest genius who ever lived. He uncovered and revealed and explained many of the mysteries of nature, but he left other mysteries which he showed we will never comprehend, namely these. All right, now let's take a look at what happened later. Science basically lowered its aims. It does not aim to give an intelligible concept of the world. It aims to give intelligible theories of the world, like Newton. But that leaves a gap. Now, there's several ways of reacting to this. We could say Newton, Hume, Leibniz, and so on were pretty stupid. We're smarter, so we realize this is nonsense. The other possibility is to say that we've discovered something since that they didn't know. Well, the second one is false. The first one is certainly false. Now, physicists often delude themselves about this by pointing out that if you take, say, general relativity and you think of curved space-time and geodesics and so on, there's no action at a distance. So therefore, we've overcome the problem. But we've only made the problem deeper because curved space-time is even more remote from the mechanical philosophy than action at distance is. So I think we are left with this gap. We do not aim for intelligibility of the world. Now, if you look, there's a research topic here which could be pursued. I think you could probably show that the model of intelligibility that Galileo, Newton, others developed as soon as they kind of escaped from the bounds of neo-scholastic philosophy